In recent years, many people in military spaces have gamed out a specific scenario. What would happen if China attacked Taiwan and the US decided to respond? A major question lies at the heart of that topic. How would America solve the logistics challenge of moving its military across the world's biggest ocean on short notice? To test some solutions, the Air Force recently undertook a massive exercise called Mobility Guardian 2023. Mobility Guardian this year drew more than 3,000 troops and 70 mobility aircraft from 7 countries, including C-130s, KC-46s, and A-400 airlifters.
We came out for Operation Mobility Guardian, which is normally an exercise we conducted over the mainland of the United States. And when I came in, we wanted to fully appreciate the demands that you can only know if you're in this theater. So we decided to move the exercise into the Pacific. And so you're seeing about 70 airplanes, about 3,000 of our mobility airmen come into theater and do what we do best, which is airlift, air refueling, aeromedical evacuation, and certainly the ground piece of that, which is our global air mobility support system.
I visited this year's event to see how the Air Force helped move troops, armor, and supplies to island chains in the Pacific. Here's the big takeaways. First, the Air Force is shifting how it fights in the Pacific. For the past 2 decades, the war on terror has relied on a stream of airmen who cycle through well-established bases around the world in order to get them where they need to be. Sometimes that requires deploying an entire squadron for one mission. Other times, just a few airmen from different squadrons or bases fill the open jobs overseas. Now airmen who work under the same wing at home will deploy together as one team, called Air Expeditionary Wings. Along with more predictable schedules and ample training, the Air Force hopes the new approach will lead to more capable units that can function without big bases. In a scenario like a Taiwan invasion, U.S. airmen would get to work with international forces, an inevitability that Mobility Guardian also tested. 6 of America's closest allies were involved in this year's event: Canada, Australia, the United Kingdom, New Zealand, France, and Japan. Airmen flew on each other's aircraft, learned tips and tricks for getting a mission done, and tried to adjust to operations across dozens of time zones.
So things that we've learned and we've taught during our familiarization flights have been learning the differences that we have, within our team dynamics. They're very similar, but in learning the different team dynamics, it helps us understand how we're going to integrate together if we need to fly AE missions together.
Along with improved international cooperation, the Air Force also wants to become more self-reliant when setting up forward operations bases in far-flung areas. Normally in need of other services for that kind of work, the Air Force aims to lean on its own contingency response groups more than ever. While practicing the difficult task of moving airmen and machinery vast distances in a short amount of time, Mobility Guardian also provided rich ground for the Air Force to work on other developing tactics. For instance, how would the Air Force evacuate hundreds or thousands of wounded troops from Pacific battlegrounds in the event of a fight? Medevac flights would have to be longer and accommodate many more patients than ever before. So how would they do it? At Mobility Guardian, airmen worked on several solutions, including sending out medics to triage the wounded on the ground and carrying different combinations of supplies in flight. An exercise as large, long, and intense as Mobility Guardian reveals lots of layers of how the Air Force is prepping for potential war in the Pacific. For full coverage, head to my stories over at airforcetimes.com.